Joining us in the studio is Trustee vs. investigative reporter Gaza Yakubu. Thank you so much for joining us, Gaza, on the News Hour tonight.
Thank you for having me.
It's 10 years, and you have been covering events that followed this abduction 10 years ago. Now, I'd like to hear from you. Kindly tell us, can you paint a picture of Chibok community and how this incident that happened 10 years ago has impacted it?
Well, Chibok's community is one of those communities you could refer to as a local community, kind of. And the impact that this Chibok girls' abduction had on the community is very impactful, because when you talk about the economical situation of the community, you discover that they have been so much impacted, in the sense that you hardly find vehicles vehicles moving from Maiduguri assessing the Chibok community. I would like to paint a picture with the experience I had while trying to travel from Maiduguri down to Chibok. I can tell you that it took us not less than 4 days before we could be able to assess Chibok community. And assessing the community was not through the normal routes that usually people could assess if they're going through from Maiduguri down to Chibok. We had to go through Bama. From Bama, we head down to Pulka. From Pulka, we went to Gaza, and then from Gaza, head to Adamawa State. And it was from Adamawa State that we were able to assess, the Chibok community. Ordinarily, we would have gone through, Maiduguri, the Sambisa, and then Damboa, and then we go straight to Maiduguri, which will probably take you 6 hours or maybe 5. But the situation that the community is having right now, I'm talking about the conflict, has really impacted the community, that you cannot assess the community except probably you're going around. And in terms of economical activities and restriction, it has really impacted members of the community.
Gaza, I'm hearing uncertainty, fear, and also normalcy yet to be restored to the community. Now, I'd like to know, what can you tell us about the optimism of the parents you have spoken to?
In terms of uncertainty and the fear, uncertainty in the sense that the parent cannot, they yet do not have hope if they're going to see, their children again. Despite the fact some of them are hopeful that yes, they may, but which is what is keeping them alive. But the truth of the matter is 10 years is such a long time. And for you to stay 10 years without seeing your daughter, it can be devastating,
Now, I'm very particular about this particular line of questioning I'm bringing forward to you. We're hearing that some parents and the rescued girls are somewhat being gagged from speaking to press, from speaking to the media. I'd like to hear from you, from your perspective. Why do you think this is going on? Why do you think this is happening? And from your interaction with them, is there somewhat say confidence to speak with the media?
Okay, in terms of restriction, yes, there are so many restrictions, and I feel the government is trying to be careful on the kind of information that goes out, because trying to assess some of the victims, I could remember one of them telling me that a lot of media organizations have come in to tell story that is not in favor. Now, it's their own perception to the story. Whosoever is going to the community as a journalist is to put information out there to the public, space, so that people can make sense of what is happening to the abducted Chibok girls. But then again, there are really restrictive measures, because I remember when we went to assess the Chibok parents community in Chibok, and then there is this chain of command where if they don't get instruction, probably from the Borno state government, they really cannot entertain anybody. And I remember at a point I was told that I'm not permitted to be in Chibok because I'm yet to get clearance from the government, which some of our colleagues in Maiduguri were trying to get for me while I go down to Chibok to have interaction with some of these victims. So at a point I felt left in the field, because with what they told me, they said I wasn't even supposed to be in the community. And I was now beginning to wonder how I would go back to Maiduguri following the same long route, because the normal route of assessing Maiduguri was not available until the military say the road is clear you really cannot ply that road. So that alone made me start thinking, how do I go back and all of that? So what I had to do at that point in time was to deploy some investigative techniques of trying to film secretly and then have interactions with some of the victims.
Right.
Things I cannot be prevented from talking to the victims.
Just before we let you go, I wouldn't do justice to this if I don't talk about the documentary that aired earlier. In the documentary, you capture the trauma that has affected the families of these abducted girls. What is the government doing about supporting them cope with the situation?
Well, as at the time we interviewed the Commissioner of Information and Internal Security, Borno State, he said they are not, resting on the issues of these Chibok girls. They are working tirelessly to ensure that, these girls are returned back to their parents. But the question is, it is taking too long, than usual, because a lot of people would want to say, why is it taking this long for you to rescue the girls? Actually, if you go to Maiduguri and then, Chibok, you see lots of security presence there. But on what they are doing as to regards to the rescue of this, Chibok girls, the questions can best be answered by them. But the state government assured us that they are doing everything, that they can to ensure the safe release of these girls.
Thank you so much. 10 years long indeed begs the question of what the state government is doing to ensure the safe return of these girls back to their loved ones. And that was Gaza Yakubu, trustee, this investigative reporter. Thank you so much for joining us on the News Hour tonight.